Hello and welcome. Today, we're diving into a really cool, kind of mind-bending idea. What if the very force that keeps our feet on the ground, gravity, is also, in a way, speeding up how we age?
I mean, think about it. It's a huge question, right? We just take gravity for granted. It's always there. But what if it's more than that? What if it's an active, lifelong pressure on our bodies that's been quietly influencing our health and how long we live all along? Let's dig in.
So first, we need to completely reframe how we think about gravity. It's not just some passive force we deal with when we get out of bed. It's a relentless, active player in our biology every single day of our lives.
Just wrap your head around that for a second. For roughly 16 hours a day, your body is in this constant low-grade battle, working nonstop to push blood up to your brain against this persistent downward pull. This isn't just a fleeting stressor. It's a chronic condition that adds up day after day for decades.
Okay, so where do we even begin to look for answers? Well, that brings us to our first major clue in this whole mystery. We have to look at the body's master controller, the central command center for everything, the brain.
And we're not talking about the parts of your brain that you use for thinking about your to-do list or remembering a song. Nope. We're talking about the deep, ancient, almost primal structures that are running the entire show from behind the scenes. They're the silent governors of your body's most fundamental systems.
And these regions are just so incredibly vital. The brainstem and hypothalamus, they control everything from your breathing and your heartbeat to your immune system and your hormones. So it's really no surprise that when they start to dysfunction, it can be a warning sign for age-related diseases. In fact, at this, your brain's biological age is the single best predictor of how long you're going to live, period.
So if these brain regions are that important, what do they need to stay healthy and do their job? Well, that leads us to our second key clue, a resource so critical it has its own acronym, CBF, which stands for Cerebral Blood Flow. You know, for its size, the brain is an absolute energy hog. It's only about 2% of our body weight, but it chews through a whopping 20% of our total energy. And here's the kicker. It can't store any of that fuel. So it is completely dependent on a constant, second-by-second supply of blood, bringing it the oxygen and glucose it needs to survive.
But here's the problem. As we get older, that critical fuel line starts to get squeezed. Over the course of our lives, our cerebral blood flow can plummet by as much as 40%. That's a massive fuel shortage for our body's most important organ.
And the consequences of that drop? Well, they're severe. Studies show that low blood flow to the brain is linked to a doubled risk of dying from, well, anything. And that's even after you account for heart health. The link is direct, it's powerful, and it's pretty scary. Less blood to the brain means a shorter lifespan.
So, where does gravity come back into the picture? Right here. This is where it all starts to click. Just the simple act of going from lying down to standing up can cause an immediate drop in brain blood flow of up to 17%. Your body is constantly fighting this drop, but over a lifetime, these little daily battles really add up.
Okay, let's connect the dots. We've got gravity, this constant force pulling blood down. We've got these supercritical command centers in the brain that desperately need that blood, and we have a documented age-related decline in that blood flow. You see where this is going, right? It all leads us to the big idea.
And here it is, the gravity aging hypothesis. Basically, the theory is that this constant daily fight against gravity causes chronic underperfusion, which is just a fancy way of saying not enough blood flow to those vital control centers in our brain. Over many years, this essentially starves the neurons, causing damage that slowly messes up all the body's systems, and, in the end, speeds up the entire aging process.
So it's like a domino effect. It starts with gravity's endless pull. That leads to reduced blood flow to the brain. Over time, this slowly damages the brain's command centers. And when the command centers start to fail, the systems they control, like our hormones and our immune response, start to break down. Put simply, the aging of the brain becomes the aging of the entire body.
And look, I know this might sound a little out there, but it's not just some fringe idea. It's actually getting serious attention from leading scientists. Dr. Rachel Seidler, who's an expert in this field, calls it a novel and provocative hypothesis that could literally transform how we think about a long and healthy life.
And it's not just one expert. Dr. Danielle Postuma calls it a bold and genuinely fresh synthesis. What they're saying is that the scientific community sees this idea as not only possible, but really exciting, because it opens up a whole new way of understanding why we age.
So, if this hypothesis is true, are we just doomed by gravity? Are we stuck? Not even close. And that's actually the best part of all this. This new understanding points to clear,
actionable things we can do to fight back.
Okay, strategy 1 is all about building long-term resilience. Think of it like upgrading the plumbing in your house. Things like aerobic exercise, running, swimming, and resistance training strengthen your entire vascular system. And then you have things like inversions or even heat and cold exposure, which can help maintain and maybe even grow the network of blood vessels that feed your brain.
Strategy 2 is all about these simple, day-to-day habits. It's about winning those minute-by-minute battles against gravity. Seriously, just getting up and moving for a couple of minutes every hour, practicing some slow breathing, staying hydrated, getting good sleep. These are all incredibly powerful ways to keep that blood flowing where it needs to go.
And finally, of course, we can support our entire vascular system from the inside out. We're talking about foods that are rich in nitrates. Think beets, leafy greens, which help open up your blood vessels. Plus, key nutrients and compounds like omega-3s and cocoflavanols give your body the building blocks for a healthy, flexible circulatory system.
So when you boil it all down, this whole new perspective on aging isn't about escaping gravity with some sci-fi technology. It's about understanding this fundamental pressure that has shaped all life on this planet, and then using that knowledge to live smarter every single day. The real challenge is learning how to thrive within it. So the only question left is, are you ready to start?